Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Sphere of Being, which is all about caring for those who care for others. Because at the end of the day, you might be a busy mum and dad, you might be the chief executive of a company looking after your shareholders and your teams, you might be a team leader, anybody that's involved in caring for other people. This is the podcast for you, because we have interesting guests, and today is no exception. We have the amazing, the wonderful Lynne Hughes. She is a serial entrepreneur. I tell you what, her life so far has been crazy, funny, and everything else in between. And she is the most amazing restaurateur and foodie. Oh my gosh, she's an amazing foodie. She's got the most brilliant plant-based business, and she was going to tell you about that. She's also absolutely caring in her community because she's helping to fight crime, educating young people and giving them a purpose in life. It's just wonderful. So Lynne, my new friend, it's lovely to have you on the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Deborah, for it's a lovely intro. Thank you very much.
Oh, credit where credit's
Oh my
due.
goodness. I mean, my story is like really quite bizarre, really. I mean, it's very funny, but it's also quite hectic as well. But I think caring for me, and my goodness, my caring for me comes from looking after people. Obviously, I grew up from a very young age in the hospitality industry. I grew up in Foy in a hotel from the age of 5. So in my blood is looking after people and caring for people in that sort of way. So I'm constantly, when people come here, I know that if people come and visit you, it's always right to offer them something to drink, something to eat. Are they comfortable? That sort of thing. So that's been inbuilt in me, really. But hospitality has been with me for years. Like I say, I was in the hotel industry and grew up in that until I was in my 20s. I then got married. But then after that, I mean, within those years, should I say, really, that is when I really learned how to look after people, because people want to be treated like they're special, like they're a king and a queen, if you like. They're coming to your establishment to feel good, to enjoy themselves, to relax, to enjoy good food and atmosphere and be entertained. And that is what the customers that came to the hotel were. My parents were outrageous. They were crazy. They had lots of music going, there were lots of laughter going. And this is what I sort of got molded from, really, growing up, was hearing all the laughter, hearing all the fun, hearing all the stories, and just basically looking after people. People always being looked after, shown to their table, shown to their room, shown around, told where they can go, say, we'll take you skiing, we'll take you on the speedboat, that sort of thing. So people were generally looked after in a very elaborate way. So that's what I grew up with. So when I started my restaurant business, it was already inbuilt to me that the people that were going to walk through that door were already kings and queens to me. They were already very important people. They straight away, it was, a meet and greet. It was very welcome to come for dine here, bring them to the table, and show them the best food, show them the best wine, and really encourage them to enjoy their time here. So caring for people is within hospitality, within my blood.
That was amazing. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to actually, Susie, I just want to ask you, long hours in the restaurant business, long hours in hospitality, antisocial in the sense that when everybody else is off, you're working full steam. Would you say it was a vocation to be in that environment, or would you say you were doing it to turn a profit?
It's a lifestyle. It's something that you either love to do or you don't, you hate it. You can only do hospitality and running restaurants hotels, that type of establishment. If you love being with people and you love doing what you do, like I said, I grew up from a very young age. It was in my blood. It was all I knew. And all I knew was how to make people feel fabulous. So it's not a profit turning business in my view. A lot of people, obviously it can be, it's a very high profitable business if you run it well. But in my view, it's about that vocation of enjoying being in an atmosphere of people who are loving your entertainment, they're loving your presence, they're loving being with you. And that is what in turn makes you feel good. And that's what made me feel good. And I loved the fact that I could look after people and serve them drinks and serve them food and give them a good time or whatever it was, but knowing that they were being felt like they were special people. So it's definitely a vocation in life. It's not a for me personally, it's not something you do for the life of it. You do work every hour. I mean, goodness knows, I was up from 8 o'clock in the morning till gone midnight, and you don't stop greeting people through that door. It's a continuous stream of people coming for breakfast, coming for lunch, coming for dinner. And the same person that came for that breakfast is getting greeted exactly the same way as someone who comes for dinner. So that morning greet of saying, good morning, how are you? Are you going to have a lovely day? Please take a seat. Let me help you. Let me give you a menu. Would you like tea and coffee? Would you like this? Is getting exactly the same greeting as the evening time. Good evening, sir. Lovely to see you. Welcoming people on board. It never stops. That energy level is so high. And I think really that's what I've thrived off all my life. I love that momentarily sort of moment. I call it a momentarily thing because it is a very, it's something that turns over again and again and again. It's not like you're staying with those people for any longer than maybe 2 or 3 hours. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes they do. We used to have people that used to come in at 11 o'clock and not go home till 12 o'clock at night. You know, I mean, that they were there 11 o'clock in the morning, and then by the time they'd finished, they'd invited about 6 people to come for lunch, and then they would all go home, and then they've invited another 6 people to come for dinner. I mean, it's quite bizarre, really, but people love an atmosphere. People love to be, they feel warm, they feel comfy, and they feel safe, because a lot of people like to be able to be themselves in a restaurant. People like to tell their stories. People like to meet business associates, and it's a safe environment as well. And that's how people felt with us. They came, they enjoyed, and they loved it. And the food that we used to sell was amazing by my chef Tino. He's my business partner. And what we used to do is we did have a menu, but to a lot of our regular guests, what we used to do is that he would come upstairs and he would say, well, look, hi guys, lovely to see you again, but this is what you're having. And they didn't order from the menu. They were perfectly happy to be told what they were going to have, because it would be fresh fish, it would be fresh crab, it would be lovely venison from the local farmer, it would be beautiful meats that we had, it would be local foraged mushrooms that had just come in that morning. So everything that we had, that we cooked with, came in fresh that day. And that is why, that's what you call today a speciality board, where people write up and they say fresh in today. You've got on a board which can be changed daily. But the chef used to go up to the table and just tell them what they were having. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And that was all part of the ambience of the restaurants that we had, is that everybody was enjoying that whole charade, if you like. It was a whole entertainment that, you know, they weren't allowed to order from the menu. They were having what they were given, and they were perfectly happy with it, and quite happy with the bill as well.
Oh, so Lynne, what I'm getting their whole feeling of that this was like an everyday 12 hours plus a day, 14 hours a day, beautiful show that was put on, but
Yeah.
genuine, from the heart, authentic.
Yeah.
Were there any moments that you felt that you weren't as up as you could be, and that this is the question I want to ask. How did you manage the self-care for you? Because it sounds like you were giving an extraordinary amount to others in every part of what you were doing, not just the customers, to your chef, to your suppliers, to the people that worked in a wider context with the restaurants, etc. What was it that you did for yourself to keep yourself okay?
I think really what I was I mean, I was a very fit person, to be honest. I used to, the few hours that we might have had in between the times, I would go for walks, go for lovely long walks out in the into the nature. Um, I would make sure that you sleep well. I mean, we never used to get to bed late, but get up early. But I was younger then. I mean, you have to be young to do this. You have to have that vibrancy about you. But to look after myself, it was make sure I eat well, which obviously we had the most beautiful food anyway, which was freshly done and prepared every day. And you have to look after yourself. But the mental health side of things and caring about who you are, that is an automatic, how can I put it? It's an automatic must, because you're so riding on a high plateau and a high vibrancy. Spiritually, you just automatically feel alive. And I think through the mental health side of things, on the downsides that we had when we had the few hours with nobody there, it would be very quiet. There would be not a lot of talking. It would be time to yourself. Just take time out and chill. You might still be doing something like making up tables or prepping veg, but it was quiet. And it wasn't until you got on that stage, which is where people arrived, that you would come alive. And looking after yourself and your mental health is making sure that you have those highs, but you also have those downturns for yourself as well. It's very important. And I think anybody in the hospitality industry to take time out and just stop. So that's really how I looked after myself. But other than that, it was just living off that vibrancy of feeling alive. I was very happy doing what I did. I loved the work. It absolutely fulfilled me. And even now, later on in life, if I get a chance to go and do like a little bit of that in a bar or something like that, I end up going to a bar with some friends, maybe for a couple of drinks and something to eat. And I end up talking to the staff like I'm looking after them. I start saying to them, need any help, just let me know, let me do this for you, and I would help them do the dishes. And it's something I think that you can't take out of the wind in your sails. It's always there.
Yeah, it's very interesting what you're saying about, helping those, and it's very much in your DNA. Sometimes
Yeah.
we put in positions where we have to care for others that we've not had it in our DNA, and it happens quite quickly. I think the figure is about 2 million people every year in the UK have to become carers, and that can sometimes happen overnight. What have you learnt that perhaps you can give out there to our listeners, for people that are embarking on this caring for others journey, to make sure that they don't feel overwhelmed and overfaced with things?
I think spirituality is something that I've, should I say, adopted in my life. It's about loving yourself, believing in yourself, and always being able to tell yourself how fabulous you are. Like my son, I always have said to him from a very young age, you're amazing, you're fabulous, and he's turned out fabulous. But I think what you have to do is look inside yourself. And if you are a caring person, because not everybody is, You look inside yourself for your own needs of what makes you feel good. And that continual telling people that they're more than welcome. It's so lovely to have you here. We really appreciate you coming here this evening or this lunchtime. That sort of thing is about giving your energy over to the customer. If somebody comes into your house or you meet somebody in the street and they go, "Hi, how are you? Oh, it's so lovely to see you. You're looking fabulous. What's been happening? What are you up to?" That energy that you lift in yourself straight away ignites the next person's energy, and straight away they are lifted immediately. So spiritually, I think your own energy is a must when it comes to caring for other people. You have to raise your vibration, and your vibration will raise somebody else's vibration. And that, I think, needs to be looked at more closely in carers, because a lot of carers can say, you know, "Oh, another day at work, I've got to go and do this and I've got to go and do that." And I think if you're not enjoying what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it. And if you can find inside yourself that energy to lift somebody else's energy, then you've done that caring just by doing that. Just by doing that, you've put them into a more positive mindset. So I really feel that that positivity has to resonate within you first, and then you can resonate with other people. And it's very, very, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm always trying to look for words. Catchy, you know, it's
infectious, maybe.
infectious. That's the word. It's really infectious. Like somebody laughing, you know, if they laugh enough, you end up laughing with them. You don't know what they're laughing at, but you laugh. So your whole spiritual energy can actually transform a whole person's persona just by being positive and uplifted. So that's really what I can take from anything, is that raise your energy, raise your spirit, and make other people feel welcomed and good and loved. And then come back again and again and again for that. And that's how I've always been. I've had salons, I've had restaurants, I've had hotels, and that's how I've always been. You know, I'm terrible with names. Everybody becomes a sweetie and a darling, unfortunately. But it's, "Hi, sweetie. Hi, darling. Come on in." And it's that straight away, that vibrancy of energy immediately affects the other person. And they're like, "Oh, hi. How lovely to see you." Straight away, you raise their vibration. And I think that's caring for people. That's putting them in a positive demeanor. And that's how we all need to be more positive. And if we're more positive, then you have more strength and ability within yourself to do good things in life, and do it happily, and find the essence inside you that makes you happy.
You see, this is brilliant. Thank you for this, because I can feel your energy. And I know we're on a podcast and we're hundreds of miles away from each other, but isn't it weird how that kind of comes through and people are drawn? Now, the one thing is, in my mind, you know, we don't have to be over the top, but that centeredness in ourselves, that happy place that we exude from, can form from our own personality to where we feel it's congruent and authentic and in line and aligned to the way in which that wonderful warm energy comes through. And in a sense, just to let people know, I'm an introvert by nature. I like the company of myself, and I draw a lot of energy from within. So sometimes big crowds for me can be quite challenging, because I find that that actually drains me. Other people, being more extrovert, is probably the other way. But what I do know is that if I'm authentically happy and centered within myself, that energy comes out and it transmits itself to others. And people say that they feel that they're in a warmth of presence. And it might not be overly expansive or demonstrative, but people know that I care. And that's I think really important to know, that each and every one of us is going to have our intrinsic personalities, and that's fabulous because we're all different, but we can all give from that place of being in that happy place. And when we kind of, and this isn't something, I'm not really a great fan of fake it till you make it, because I feel that that can sometimes be inauthentic, and people can kind of suss that out very quickly, that we're not really doing what we're thinking inside or feeling inside. But if we can experience that gratitude, as you were saying about the spirituality in life, I'm of the opinion that when we think about those positives, and not toxic positivity, but just the mere fact that we've been able to wake up and we've been able to move about and be able to see and touch and smell, to a lot of people, that's not something which they're able to do. So actually, even if we do have, things in our lives which hamper our mobility or our senses, there's usually always something that we can be grateful for. And it's to set that seed in a daily intention. And you're talking about spirituality. And some of our listeners might not necessarily consider them to be spiritual. But what you did say is that you like to walk out in nature when you were actually looking at the finding of the you time. And I'd love to hear from you how now in your business, because you've got the wonderful business HerbiT, and I'll let you talk about that to actually let the listeners understand what you're trying to achieve with that. And then you have your luxury holiday lets as well, amongst other things that you've got on the boil, as it were, from a restaurateur perspective. But what did those things in your business world have in common with your intrinsic authenticness of being in that good place?
I think appreciation of everything around us, isn't it? I think, like you were saying about how, you can make other people feel. I think if you can walk away from somebody and feel that you've made them feel better and they're grateful for it, then that straight away makes you feel satisfied. It makes you feel grateful that you've helped someone. It's the best feeling in the world to help someone and make them feel better just for a little while. So I think going into nature is where, I had horses when I was younger and used to walk the dog a lot. And I used to love going out into nature, going out into the fields, into the woods, and getting all that beautiful wilderness and those natural vibes of nature around you is just so calming and so satisfying that I think, that's really where it brought me on to possibly doing things with HerbiT, because obviously food was a major part of our business. And with food being a major part of the business, what's actually happened is me and my business partner, obviously, Chef Tino, we've known each other for 20 years, had many businesses together, and it's taken us along that path because we realize how much people can enjoy food. A food makes you feel good. So we've eventually fallen into, what are we going to do? And when you said about it's a continual vibrancy and an athletic run, really, hospitality, where you keep going and you keep going and you keep at this high vibrancy. We decided as we got older, we thought, what are we going to do? We can't keep opening restaurants and we haven't got the energy anymore. It takes a lot of energy. But we decided then that we were going to start a product, and all the excellent food that we had, especially T, the chef, would cook every day with fresh produce that was freshly delivered and foraged for. We would make a product that everybody could enjoy with those flavors that we cooked for in the restaurants, and so that they could enjoy them at home. So along came a lot of food for thought, and along came HerbiT. And HerbiT was a flavoursome puree, really, an absolute premium product. It was beautiful. We had a commercial kitchen, and what we did is we had a lot of fresh herbs, alums, oranges, lemons, limes, onions, that sort of thing, all delivered to us freshly every morning. And every morning in that, it took us 2 or 3 days sometimes with the amount that we had to do. We would chop all those herbs up, we would cut them up, shred them, wash them, dry them, squeeze all the limes, squeeze all the lemons, and grate all the zest. And we would do this for take us about a full day, if not 2 days sometimes, with the amount of product that we had. And we were actually doing what was being prepared in the kitchens before you would go and cook for customers. But what we were doing is putting it into many jars so that customers could buy them and take them home. And we had a huge commercial kitchen. We had a very big mixer blender. It was huge. And we would put all these ingredients that the chef had weighed out, so much parsley, so much coriander, so much moringa, so much whatever he was cooking, it was all weighed out as if he was cooking a dish, whether it would be a cleftico or a pasta dish or a roast, whatever the dish may be, he has measured them out as if he was going to cook that particular dish. And so we had it weighed and measured and prepared, and then blended with extra virgin olive oil, and then put into jars. And it was the most beautiful product. And it was signature. It was the chef's signature of what he would cook in his restaurants, to how we would serve our food to the customers. They can have that at home.
Oh, wow, Lynne, this is just amazing. And I know there was a twist with this business, but I'm just conscious of our time. And I know that
Yeah.
we will be back, and you're doing another podcast with us as well. So we can go into the new version of HerbiT as well. But just before we close, just very briefly, I'd love for you to ask you, what does caring for others mean to you?
Caring for others means for me is making them feel loved, making them feel welcome, making them feel comfortable. Caring for them is looking after someone, looking after their best interest, making them feel at the best person they can be in that moment. And through me, it's hospitality, but through someone else, and maybe in the medical world, caring for someone is looking after them with medication and making them comfortable, that sort of thing. It's the same sort of thing. But if you can make that person feel loved, welcomed, and wanted, then I think you've done your caring job.
Oh, fabulous. Love. You can't beat it, can you? It's absolutely amazing. Very, very strong, powerful, powerful, healing feeling and
Yeah.
energy. And I know that people are going to be like, wow, Lynne is amazing. I wouldn't mind having a chat with Lynne and getting in touch. What's the best way that people can get hold of you?
Well, they can get in touch with me by my email, which is HughesLynne296, which is my name, Hughes Lynne backwards 296 at gmail.com. Or my telephone number is 07521 133 434. That's probably the best ways that people can get in touch with me. And I get millions of emails. I'm getting so many emails at the moment, but please send me an email, send me a text, give me a call, and I would love to chat. I would love to talk to people about, especially hospitality. Hospitality is so important in the food world. So please get in touch.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be ringing off the hook now, Lynne. Brilliant, fantastic. Thank you. So everybody, thanks so much for listening. It's been a pleasure to be with you. And as I always say at the end, if life is throwing you lemons, because Lynne knows all about that, you're not on your own. I'm always here. If you need to be in touch and you want to speak to somebody, no judgment, completely confidential. I'm just a person who's been through the ringer. had my experiences. It would be lovely to talk. So until the next time, take care and see you very soon. Bye bye now.